there was about 60 pupils enrolled. In an earlier day, it was like this school. You can see this was a subscription school before I was born to go. I was born in 1900, and it was built, the schoolhouse was. You can kind of see the schoolhouse back there. And it stood there for years and years until Manford School was consolidated and it was moved to town. So later on, I don't think I taught in that schoolhouse, but one of the schoolhouses of the area. And as I told, this isn't the same group I told you. I was thinking what a lovely room this was to what the room was that I had to teach in. There was about 60 pupils enrolled in the 5th and 6th grade, and some of them are still living and come to see me when they can. And you want to know, that was a long time ago. And a cyclone came up that day, and first I ran outside to look at the clouds and didn't think. And then I rushed back in and brought my a house full of children out in the yard, and we stood out in the yard up there south of the old Manford town, south of the brick schoolhouse that housed 4 rooms before the others was built, and before the town was even moved. And we saw the roof just go back and forth. I guess Manford must be a good spot for cyclones to hit from even in later days. So the school board came in and cut some trees and propped it up, and I had that picture in my scrapbook, but I couldn't bring a lot of things. Now this is young men that subscribe to go to school. There's 16 men, boys and little boys, and 21 girls in that group. And this lady's name was Miss Lynch, Lynch, and she lived in a tent on the grounds just a little ways back. And one night a wildcat came in her tent and was licking from the leftovers on the kitchen table. And she got scared up. She had 2 teenage girls. I don't know their name. I never did hear it. And so she was going back to Tulsa. She wasn't going to stay in such a wild place. She was afraid. So the school board was called in then, and they said, well, all you have to do is light a lamp and set it on the table, and the wildcat won't come in. So she stayed on and finished her school. And you'll see that she had young men, and I know they must have been well behaved because they wanted to learn to read and write and do arithmetic. And this dog here belonged to the Stomans. They were homesteaders that lived on a farm just south of our homestead, over there in the basin. And my 2 older sisters are marked there, designated. I'll pass this picture around, and it's so dim I can't use it anymore in my books and things, but you can see what it was like. We carried our lunch in a syrup pail, and we had to carry water, and they generally be 2 go to get water up at the adjoining farm from a cistern. And in the hot weather, it was really welcome to get that water. They had a pole they put between the bucket dam, and one walked in one path of the road because the grass grew up in the middle, and it was hard to get a bucket of water to bring down to the school to put on the beach. And we all drank from the same dipper. And sometimes when we ate our lunch, we just had homemade cooked things. We called it side meat it was, but we called it Zola Belly, and we'd exchange sometimes we'd share with each other when we'd eat our lunch. And when the law finally decided that we couldn't drink out of a dipper, they made a folding cup. I used to have it, and it smashed down and be about that thick. And we had to each one buy, if you was able or not, to buy that folding cup to drink out of, so you wouldn't have to be drinking out of the same dipper. Now just think of the wonderful things that you have nowadays. Hot lunches and rides in buses to school, and things have certainly changed. Why, do you know how long it's been since I taught in that building that they moved in that was propped up? I sat here and thought just now. It was 60, it is in 21, so it'd be 66 years, wouldn't it? Seems to me. And then later, when I got through the grades, I have one certificate when I was 11 years old that I never missed a day or was tardy, and it hangs in my historical room in that house I showed you. Here's the home I live in Okmulgee. And one of the rooms, you want that, ma'am? One of the rooms, I have all my historical things in them. I came here today to look the museum over also, while I had the chance. I'm going to have to store all my historical things, my scrapbooks, and creative writing courses, set up one. They're here somewhere. Here they are. And they can see, well, they will be here. So when I was 11 years old, I won that creative writing, that tardy and absent